within from shooting games, you have crates that open up kind of skins that make your weapons look better. And nowadays, there are a lot of games which you open up, you need to buy items so that you have stronger items so that you can advance through the game even faster. And a lot of these, or in the earlier days, it is without probability even. So you have no idea when you're going to get something, you just keep going. Now new regulations are kind of introduced and the probability aspect needs to be shown, at least with licensed games. So you will know like, oh, a legendary, the most difficult one to get is like 0.5% chance, which is very little. And then, most times you're going to get common. Or for example, one of the most popular titles now called Genshin Impact. Everyone wants that 5-star hero when the new hero comes out. And you need to wish for it. Means you 10 chances to go and like lucky draw and try to get it. But instead of not knowing exactly how many you need, now they have this thing called a pity counter, which means once you hit a maximum of 80 draws, you will definitely get your 5-star hero. But this 5-star hero might not be the one that you want, might be another different 5-star hero. So then how? As a teenager, or as a kid even, or even as people of my age, you got a spending power now, you want to roll another 80. And that's how it continues until you get what you want. Yep. So, and that ultimate figure of how many times you need to roll to get that hero, nobody knows.
Gacha actually is the machine, gachapon, when you put in a coin in those sort of mama shop in the past, revealing my age, but I spent a lot of time doing that also. And then you twist the knob, and then a ball comes down and you don't know what's inside. Almost also like Kinder Surprise, right? Yeah. So that is gachapon. And it has sort of morphed into gacha in a game now, where similarly you have some credits and you purchase an item and you don't know what's inside. How games, we include items like loot boxes, microtransactions inside, is to try to make the player, how do he or she devise the next step to the next level, for example, to go to the next stage. You strategize by yourself or with your teammates to try to conquer the next quest or to go to the next level. And ideally, if you make the game too easy, that somebody can just pay himself to win, it's not going to be a fun game, trust me. It's not going to do well. And the reason why you are very interested, Thomas is very interested in certain games and he's never spent a single dime on a game, it's the hallmark of a successful game, that you've managed to engage with a player, he doesn't need to spend anything, and yet he can do well in a game.
Can I just add in here, I think it's a very good point. So, for example, for me, right, compared to some of my friends, they want that skin, or they want to pay money for that skin to show off, right? Like, wow, look at me, I'm so cool. There's, for example, in a lot of these shooting games, there's even one button you press, right, is to just look at your gun. It doesn't help you shoot anything. You just look at your gun like that. Then if the person come and shoot you, you die already. But you look at your gun, like, wow, nice. So you can see that is a motivation, which you mentioned. And for me, myself, my motivation is to win that game. I don't care what my gun looks like. I want to win the game. So I actually am curious whether it's possible to even shift that motivation towards, like if I were playing games and I don't want my kid to spend so much or don't want to be addicted on those triggers in a game, right? Can I shift their motivation towards something that is more like, if I go, I imagine if I had a kid, I'll ask him why you need a skin? No skin cannot win, meh? Then he want to challenge me back already, right? So yeah, it just came to mind.
Such conversations are important to have with the child. Now, in psychology, a lot of these games actually use this concept called variable, ratio, reinforcement schedule. It sounds like a whole string of bombastic word, right? But actually what it means is, variable ratio means I don't have a fixed schedule, okay, of when I'm going to give you that very powerful character. But I will give it to you somehow. And because it's so random, and it's so fun, it keeps the compulsion going. So if I don't get it this time, then I'll have this desire, I want to get it. And I'll keep going for it. Thankfully now, they do have some regulation and they put in some limits to it. But having said that, persons might just keep wanting to go and play. So I just wanted to highlight that when we think a little bit about gaming, there's also the gambling aspects that we must also look out for. That there are opportunities on the games where they might weave in gambling, and as parents, we might also need to have conversations around this to raise the awareness.
In a way, betting, right? You want to get something else, right? Your 5-star mythical legendary itself. There you go, right? Okay, you put in some credits so you go into the spin. Some of the games that I play worse, you can determine what do you want to get, which increases your motivation to spend more about it, right? So the only limitation is your credits that I mentioned in-game. But in-game credits can be gained from a lot of ways. One way, of course, is to buy in. Other ways is that you win game, you spend more time generating to play to get more credits. Because the more wins you have, you potentially get more benefits, and that gives you the motivation to go on. So we're talking about potential ability to get hooked on, right? You do something because you want, that's the motivation factor, right? Like all of us. I want to get good grades as a student, I put in more time to study, to revise, right? I want to get better characters in the game, same. I put in more time to get it. But the randomization, in fact, is the one that keeps you going, because you may not always get the character that you want, right? There are always a myriad of very powerful characters with different skill set. Do you like this particular character? Even Marvel game, right? Maybe you want Hulk, for example. They want to go for the Hulk. 5-star or super 6-star. Then when you go there, you play, you didn't get Hulk. You get a lesser Hulk version. They say, oh, not enough. I need to keep going. And that's where you keep moving on.
First, know what are the warning signs. I think that's important. We need to at least identify what are some of the key warning signs. Some of them actually includes really important parts like not being able to or starting to cut down on things that they are supposed to do. For example, I'm supposed to go to school, but now I'm not going to school. I'm supposed to meet people and go out and have socialization, just like how all of us might do, but now I'm not wanting to step out of the house. Maybe I'm not even wanting to step out of my room. I just want to stay inside my room all day, every day, doing the gaming or the gambling that's online. So that is actually a warning sign. We might also see them starting to have financial difficulties. For example, especially if gambling is involved, they might start to lose money. Then what do they need to do? Well, I need to chase back, right? So I need to find ways to get more money. And they might rack up debts on credit cards. They might start to go and steal money or try to get money from wherever sources. I try to go and fund this behavior or this habit that I have. So there are things that might become a warning sign. But one thing that we did notice, especially with gaming and gambling together, is sleep. Okay, so we notice, and clinically, it's a warning sign to us when our child is not able to sleep. And we're talking about insomnia, like difficulties falling asleep, or I slept, but I keep waking up. Difficulties maintaining sleep. So usually as parents, we'll take note of the first part, which is difficulty falling asleep. So I want to sleep, but I can't, right? Because my mind keeps thinking about the gaming, or my mind keeps thinking about the gambling, and I need to keep going. So my mind is super active, okay? That is the difficulty falling asleep. But the one other part that we might miss out is those who slept, but then they keep waking up. Every 2-3 hours, I wake up. Every 1-2 hours, I wake up. Wake up thinking about the game, or thinking about the gambling, or thinking about something, and I cannot go back to sleep. So you notice, they are having difficulties with sleep. Another thing that you will notice is the appetite. Not eating. I rather game or gamble, and I don't want to eat. Or another one is the binge eating. Wow, I'm very stressed. Game or gamble until very stressed, right? Then I binge eat non-stop. So the extreme two sides, we become very concerned. So we need to, as parents, and also as fellow caregivers and persons worried about somebody in our life, that to realize that maybe there are some key telltale signs, especially when they start losing function. That means the ability to do the normal things that we should be able to do. Go to school, meet people, talk to people, eat, sleep, take care of myself. I don't even want to bathe. Bathing is a waste of time. I'd rather stay inside my room and game or gamble. That kind, So all these are warnings. I see you're nodding, right? Or you all can relate, right? The one to bathe, because bathing takes up time, I need to shampoo, then I need to do this, do that, waste time, okay? I'd rather stay inside my room. So to us, it might feel like a small thing, but all these are little things that add up. Okay, so that's the first part. The second part becomes very serious when they start to have a lot of mood swings. So we see the ups and downs. Okay, so meaning, especially when you suspect that your child or your youth or that family member has got a lot of what we call volatile mood, like ups, down. It can come to a point where, for example, they're doing something and you talk to them, they might have like, the moods go really big swing. Don't come and talk to me. Bam, bang the table, bang the chair. So you see a lot of volatility in the mood. That means not very stable in the mood, because their emotions are tied to the game or also the gambling. Yeah, and it's okay to have those emotions, no? But when it gets too much, that it starts to affect the relationship I have with my parents.
Parenting is not easy, right? Oh, not right. Right, and it's not going to get easier thanks to all this digitization and stuff that we're going kind of stuff, right? I got 3 kids in different varying ages. I need to talk to them differently. That day, I was just spending time with my Sec 3 son, right? He was in Brawl Stars, playing Brawl Stars itself. He was obviously trying to get something itself, and he was showing it. You know the frustrated look, the face kind of thing. Then, okay, cannot do, try again. So I was like there, looking at the time, bedtime coming, Monday coming to school. So what am I going to do, right? If I'm the parent, the nice parent that insists, no, I use superpower, I take away the phone. But that doesn't solve it, right? You realize the superpower activated will create after effects, right? And you don't want after effects to bounce the wall and hit you back. Then you're like, then you lose that kind of thing. So is there an ideal solution? Truthfully, no. You need to regulate it in your pace. There's no silver bullet thing you can take, right? All of us have different parenting styles, right? Different parenting modes. The way we talk to our kids are different, right? But that's the fun part of the parenting part. It's never a nice set of rules. It's always advisory guidelines. And I think we encourage sharing, because I don't think I'm the ideal parent itself, because I play game. So sometimes people say, you play game means you're not good. But that's not true. I can relate to him in the game. So I understand his frustration. So I said, okay, what are you doing? He explained a bit. I said, okay, how many times do you think you need to do it to get it? He explained it. I said, okay, we agree on this time, which means it's going to violate potential curfew. We manage it, right? It's a one-off thing. But I say, okay, I'm going to allow one off, whatever reasons, but then that's the boundary. So we need to keep setting boundaries. Maybe new frontier, new season pass, new window or closing to get things, right? Then, Shem.
The solution that I had with my family, my kids, to deal with that is never game before bedtime. Yeah. So that will solve most of the problem. But then again, I agree with Raymond's point of view about understanding that kids' perspective and how you can set the but the communication and the boundaries, and every parents that we have here have different very approach. But what is consistent that will work is that you need to build up that communication and relationship before whatever strategy that you have will work. You can have the best silver bullet, but without the gun, which is your relationship with your children, none of this bullet will work eventually. Yeah. So back to the key point is communication is super important that we are trying to advocate with parents.
I may add on, communication also has got to do with the timing. We don't try to talk to them while they are very frustrated in the game. We will encounter resistance. So we also need to strategize and find the opportunity where there's a bit of a downtime, then we come in and talk to them. Right? I can see the nod and we agree, right? Because if we are talking to them while they are, then don't talk to me.
Communication is key, right? That you need to build that relationship and communication with your kid. And then following on from also the point about the study that, the government did a study earlier this year. Actually, another very interesting point from that study is that parents generally have a very low awareness of what their child's experience in the games are. So I think that is, after you build that rapport, communication with your child, how do you then maximize and leverage on that trust that you have with your child is you need to know what your child is going through. You need to know what the child's games are. So maybe from the game publisher, developer point of view, games have rules. Game companies also have rules to follow. As I think Thomas alluded to, we publish the probability. When it comes to chats, I think a lot of companies are moving towards chat filters, restricting chats for minors. So if parents, you need to be aware that you can actually disable chat. You can actually limit chats. So instead of, toxic language being on chats, you can use emojis. So game companies are restricting, you can only say good game or well done, that sort of thing where, it limits what you can say in the chats.
I think while we start to also be mindful and being aware of the signs, from a preventive and upstream approach, parents, we can also go into a mode where we inbuilt skill sets to our children, to our young adult, to better manage all of this. Because you can't be there 24/7 and say, hey, that's too big, $50 already, enough already, too much already. We can't be there every day with them, right? Sit next to them. We are not helicopter parents. So inbuilt skill sets that will help your kids or your young adults to know that this is needed when they are in that situation. Emotional regulation. At the point when I feel excited, maybe I should do something to just think through whether is this the right time to put the $50 in. So emotional regulation skill is very important. Thinking about boundaries. What kind of boundaries is needed? What kind of boundaries should I be thinking about? Or even when I go into this space, let's say I'm going to a situation where I need to practice social gambling, or I'm going to meet my friends and we have some Chinese New Year. No? I set boundaries, practical boundaries, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I start this from young. Parents, you bring your kids to arcades when you have gift redemption, right? I was sharing with them just now. With my kids, I tried this method, and I just want to see what happens. I just tell my kids, you have $20, and it's the first time, and he went to play the coin, the drop one, and then got ball. And in $20...
Bad game to start, I say first. That one, the odds very lousy.
You should teach him better.
But I really wanted
to see. I really wanted to see how it affects a 6-year-old boy. That time he was 6 years old. And true enough, right, he was hooked. Because when I was hoping at $20 he won't win anything. But the $20, the thing collect, then you see his eyes light up.
Jackpot,
the face, I say, 笑了, gone. Yeah, because after that, I say, Papa, can I have another $20 more? Then that's where I say, okay, let's see how far it goes. Because behind the scene, I was putting $50 for 3 kids. No, but I really wanted to see psychologically how does it affect a child, and that brings me deeper understanding to how we work with families. So, yeah, but at the end of it, we kind of understand how it feels that boundaries helps. The baseline is that boundaries and setting aside certain things, you teach your kids that I need to know where is my limit, I need to stop from there. And that can apply in a lot of social situations that they face when you're not with them. So emotional regulation skill is very important. And then learning to set aside boundaries for yourself, coming to the realization point. But it's not a skill set that you can teach in a one setting. It requires time and effort and a lot of conversation between you and your young adult or youth over time. And that's where they start to practice and say, hey, mom and dad mom and dad always do this with me whenever I'm in a situation. Now is the time. And you hope that you do it frequently enough. When the time comes when you need to make the decision, you hope that it will stand the test of time.
You want a time span to build the relationship, right? There's no ideal format, no formula, no super cheat sheet kind of thing. You have to find a time to utilize your time to build that relationship, because your relationship is the most priceless thing that you can build with your time. But the most thing is that you need to use time to do it. Nobody can teach you how to do it, actually, right? So that's one thing that we need to take back and reflect as parents or in this panel itself. Myself, even when I was talking about time spent, I said, oh yeah, sometimes I wake up at 2 a.m. to play game. Why? Because my regional friends at Americans say, okay, we wake up at 2 a.m. to play game because we need to feed this boss together. I said, 2 a.m. I'm sleeping, right? Then you're obligated because you're part of the community, right? There are pros because you build a friendship that's boundaryless, right? Now in virtually you have friends international, which is a good thing, right? It keeps us closer in humanity. I think humanity needs a lot of help. If you hear what I think, right? Sorry for going to the big perspective, but I think we really need help. I think the social is important, especially for your kids, right? The social element is important. Their friends, they build the bigger picture of business, the network that they build, future kind of stuff is all important because it brings us closer together. It makes us feel human. That's important. And we need to be mindful of the time spent. When you time spend wrongly, then when you go into debts and get into gambling, that is very pertinent. I think all of us are in the era that it can happen to any one of us, right? Don't say that, wow, very cool and very good kind of thing. You never know, right? My kid asks me for money. I'm very strict in perspective. When they want to buy in-game, I'll just say no. Then the question is, hey, Daddy, did you buy in-game before or not? Once. Once. The reason why I convince you is that game is perspective. You can pay real money in. The more you pay money in, your skin in it, you will be stuck in it, right? Yeah. The more you put money and time, now I'm putting time, and time is given. The more I put money and time in, gone. I tell you, I'll be so into it because now I put so much money in, I'm more vested to maintain, right? So my strict rule is that no money. Time bo pian. Time you play is time. So I refuse to put money in. So they never put in-game credits as far as I know.